That's interesting.
Chris, that was a beautiful lead in. It sounded like you were calling our podcast interesting as we faded in. Well, yeah, we're very interesting. That's why we're here. Hi, my name's Sean Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. And this is Avatar The Last Podcasters. We are on Legend of Korra Book 3 Change, talking about Chapter 4, In Harm's Way, which it's not a two-part episode, but we talked about last time. Very much feels like it could be paired with the last episode. So binge our episodes back to back. Pretend they're one, because we did not pair them together. Nobody pairs them together, except they just feel like they could be.
Yep.
That's it. Chris, it's been 5 minutes since we last talked. How you doing?
I'm doing.
Tell me something about your life that you didn't tell me an hour ago. I know. Think deep.
I'm working on. I'm very excited right now. I'm working on this action figure that. So I love the McFarlane toy line for DC Toys. So this one here was a Batman Arkham Knight figure that I'm turning into. So there's a new Batman called Jace Fox. He's black. That's important. But so I'm turning this action figure here into the Jace Fox one. So I took this head from a different action figure because there was a sale on GameStop, which I know. Sorry, GameStop. It was usually these action figures are like $20, and it was on sale for $8. So I bought that, took the head off of it. This actually goes to this Green Lantern one back here, but then he looks slightly different. I gave him a mustache and a beard and added some stuff to his hair. So I'm very excited about this right now. I've been looking forward all day to doing some more painting on it.
It would be pretty sick if you had the opportunity to have, say, live action movie actors sign that someday. You'd be like, "This is one of a kind. I know because I made it in my basement."
Yeah. But I got too many hobbies. I've added comic book repainting to my hobbies, and like the last two I've done, I haven't even finished them. And it's been like since December or something.
When you repaint, are you also repainting actual comic books themselves in any case?
You said the actual comic book?
Yeah, actual comic books. Like people will sort of essentially paint over top of the cover, or make additions to the cover, or just essentially create their own alternate covers.
No, I'm just painting over the action figure itself.
Just action figures themselves.
Yeah, I'm not a good enough painter to paint comics.
I feel like it's much harder to paint on a 3-dimensional plastic figure than it is on a flat piece of paper. No?
No, it's relatively easy.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you credit, though. I'm bad at painting on any dimensions of figures, especially that dang 4th dimension. I can never nail that one down.
I thought we're living in the 4th dimension.
I know, it's pretty wild.
We can only go in one direction.
It's unfortunate. No, it's not. I wouldn't. I'm not a regretful person.
If I made a superhero, I was thinking about this. I always think about like superheroes I would make. So this one, I don't know what their name would be. G-Force. That's the name it will be because it'll be able to control gravity, right? Part of that, so it'll be able to like control the gravity of a certain area. I don't know if it's a he or she, probably a guy, because I have a lot of other girl heroes in my head. Then I'll never create these heroes. But right, time in a way can be controlled by gravity, right? That's actual. Well, I guess theoretical, but it's very highly speculated at time. No, I think it's proven. I believe at this point in time, it's proven that gravity controls the speed of time, right?
Or at least our perception of the impact of time, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I think
it's pretty high level theoretical physics that is beyond our pay grade. I'm willing to say that.
Yeah. But like the superhero will be able to slow time or either speed time up, right? So you have like a villain, you could like, technically kill them if you wanted to. You can just speed them up and age them quickly.
I mean, if I was going to do that and I had the power of gravity, I would just use gravity to kill them. I would use time to kill him.
Or you can slow them down. But no matter what, you can only go in one direction. Like he wouldn't have like the typical time powers, like some heroes do, like to go back in time. He could only be able to go forward.
Two things. One, there's a movie called G-Force that's based on some not super powered guinea pigs, but kind of. Do you remember that, G-Force?
I do
So you
remember,
might have to
yes.
worry about copyright on the name.
That's
But
true.
two, I'm still buying into your idea here. I say, go for it. You know, three things. Remember that joke from Hannibal Buress when he's talking about like George Bush getting on a plane and having security,
I
and
don't
he's like,
remember.
you don't need to kill former president or Jimmy Carter, not George Bush. Is it Jimmy Carter?
I don't.
I
I
don't know.
don't
Hey,
know the
there's a
joke.
spider like right in front of my face. That's gross, man.
I thought you were gonna say behind me. I was like, not again.
No, I don't want to. Gross. I don't know. Some former president is like Jimmy Carter or something like that, and he still had. I said, did I say Social Security? Wow, it's getting really late. Secret Service with him, and it's like I don't think you have to worry about other people killing former President Jimmy Carter. I think time is gonna kill Jimmy Carter.
Every plus, I don't know anything about Jimmy Carter politically, really, besides what political party you're going to.
That's all I got.
But you know, bless his heart, he like all the time. Anytime I picture see him, it's like, oh, he's doing Habitat for Humanity, and there's a picture of him with a hammer, but also he has like this Band-Aid on, and it looks like he's. I'm like, I don't, I don't think he's being that helpful. I think he's more of a. I think it'd be more helpful if he just didn't show up.
I'm gonna say that
Because I think he's in a way.
He is helping through inspiration.
Man, you could say that.
That's about all I
Sure.
can say. I have a feeling he's not
But
framing.
for that specific project,
Yes,
like Jimmy, come on, we just
you don't have to
you've
fake
been on
the whole hammer
you've
shtick.
been on the same nail for the last 30 minutes, Jimmy. Just
Honestly, he could get on there and be like, "Hey, listen, I'm too old to frame houses, but I'm here and I want to be, and I want you to help too." And like that would be enough. We'd be like, you know what? Thanks for your honesty, former
I did
President Jimmy Carter.
Habitat for Humanity one time. That was actually pretty interesting. It's just like,
Uh,
oh, we can all build a house together.
Yeah, my wife took some Mexico trips. She helped frame some little houses. It's pretty. My high school, Chris, we've talked about how small my high school is. I graduated. My class had 16 people in it,
Holy
and,
crap.
and in our shop class, people were making like clocks, right? In shop class, this last year they made a small house, and now they're selling that house like for profits to go, I don't know, to the school or charity or both or something, I don't know, but they made a small house in shop class. I was like, that's some bullshit. One of my buddies still got his crappy clock sitting on his mantle, and these kids made a house.
Yeah, that's someone got an inspired teacher.
They did. They take pretty good care of their school out there. I'll give them credit. It is, by rural high school standards, a lovely high school. Anyway,
I'm confused about 16 people. Like, how does the teachers work? You can't even.
it
I don't know. I'm just.
I took Spanish for 4 years. In my junior year and my senior year, it was just me and one other girl, and that's it. It was a teacher and two of us, and he made us
So
sit right in front of him.
what was the teacher student ratio? Like 1 to 5?
I can probably, if you give me just a second, I can probably count like the number of teachers that were present in the core classes. I can do the core classes. So like, there's like 6 core class teachers for about 80 students. So what's that ratio come out to?
I can't.
I-
1 to 12 or 1 to 13.
Something in that ballpark. But that's just, so that's like total ratio, but on a per class basis it would be smaller because you've got Spanish class with 2 people, or this particular math calculus 2 with 5 people or whatever. So on a per class basis it's much smaller, but on a per teacher basis.
Interesting. I wonder, does that ratio affect? I'm curious now. What?
One of our teachers was part-time. Like, he literally was, like, the math teacher, but also still just only came in part-time. But he was the math teacher at school. Like, but he's also, 50-50 on the farming teaching. So, whatever. Biggest class was choir, because you took all 4 years in the same choir, right? So it was all basically the whole school in a room. It was weird.
Don't miss high school. I think I've mentioned this before. I wouldn't wish high school on my worst enemy. Maybe I would. It's not that bad.
I was to say, I
But
mean, I wouldn't like go do it again, but I don't have any specific like harsh complaints other
yeah,
than I didn't love
I
it because it's a
mean,
weird time, you know.
yeah, it's just the weird. My freshman year was the worst. Like my school, like we had this like off building that was probably about a 10-minute walk from the actual school. And so all my friends, I only had like five of them, which that's good.
That's fair.
Um,
That's a
yes,
team avatar right
um,
there.
exactly. Their their class before lunch was in that building. That building had its own cafeteria also, and so I never had anyone to sit with in cafeteria for like my whole freshman year. So oftentimes I would just like walk around, eat my food real quick, and then just walk around. It was I just hated that. And then let's see, my sophomore year was, I guess after that wasn't that bad. My senior year was pretty great. Actually, my senior year was great. I had a car. That really helped out.
I liked my senior year quite a bit.
Yeah.
I
But
my freshman year is the worst because I some of the other members of my family are pretty athletic, and I mean I never really was. But my freshman year in high school, I felt like it was kind of I really undersold my parents, so it was my own fault. But teenagers and talking to your parents is weird. But I just felt like it was kind of expected for me to try to go do all these sports that I was real bad at, and I did, and I didn't like. I love football. I don't love playing football because I'm a huge pansy. So the only one I wanted to play was basketball, and we I would have played baseball, but we didn't have a baseball team, so I did track, and I even did track a second year. But eventually, it's like a come to Jesus moment where I was like, do I have to like keep doing these things I'm really bad at, or can I go do like forensics and scholars bowl and stuff? And they're like, yeah. Oh,
I was I could not see you play
for real.
football.
I played football for 2 years. I did my freshman year, and then my senior year they were really short-handed, and it was literally a matter of like the football coach slash social studies teacher being like, "Hey, Sean and Jake, that's some forensics video game nerd buddies. Me and my buddy Jake. I still play D&D with Jake to this day. That's because he's a nerd too. But the teacher's like, Sean and Jake, you're nice kids. We need some bodies. You got to help us out." And we're like, fine. So we
I
went out for
wish
football our senior
someone would
year.
have asked me to play. Like I was,
But
because I
your high
was
school is
too.
so big that nobody like.
No one, you know how hard it is to make
I
the
was gonna say
team.
nobody's gonna come pick you out and be
Like these are potential future
well. And
professional players.
Chris, we were also in high school at a time where basketball was like the booming sport in the Midwest. Like we were starting to get away from this basketball on the coast. Like we were starting to have big prospects and thing in the Midwestern schools. And so like in my school, as small as it was, there was 20 kids on the basketball team. That's a quarter of the school on the basketball team. So I played basketball all 4 years and I was terrible at it. Like just very minimal playing time, even at the school that size. But I mean,
Like
at least I enjoy basketball, so it's fine.
like I bet if you go back and look at every year, every class has of my high school probably had at least one person make it to the NFL.
That's sick. Booker T, great football school. I don't know about high school. I'm sure there's good basketball athletes. I'm just not as
Yeah,
familiar
that's
with.
good. It's
Um,
not. They don't. I don't know a single person that came. The biggest one is Wayman Tisdale. He played
oh yeah,
basketball.
that's I didn't know it was Booker T. That's awesome.
Yeah, I went to high school with his daughter.
And then he
I
went
thought she was like the
to
most beautiful. I thought she was like the
OU,
most
and
beautiful
then
person the first time I saw her.
oh, that's awesome.
Uh, I mean,
Uh,
she's fine.
I mean, it's
I'm
just a
sure
good feeling
she's doing.
to
Yeah,
remember
she's doing
that.
very well for herself now.
He
Um,
played at OU, and then he played for the Wizards. Not the Wizards,
yeah.
the
Bullets.
Bullets. Yeah, yeah,
He has
pre-Wizards.
a. He recently died. He has a street named after him.
I
Or
mean,
no, like maybe
recently,
a
but it's
highway. He
been
has a highway. Yeah, he has a whole highway named after him.
recently, but not super. Like it's been maybe a decade or something like that.
Maybe like 6 years.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
in
not
that
sure.
ballpark, in that ballpark. Well, that's cool. I didn't know he was
But
there. Um, yeah, my high school is very
anyway,
excited when we get somebody that goes and plays football
at
at like.
at at a D1 at a D2
Oh
school.
no, there's no D2 football player. We're talking. So there's D1, and then there's like there's like FCS, FBS, then D2, which is Pitt State. Then
Yeah.
there's D3, Then there's NAIA, which is like all real tiny private schools that nobody can afford to go to. And if we had kids go there, we got pretty excited for those kids.
Okay.
It was a big deal when it happened.
Sorry, people who don't care about these things.
Listen, we talk enough about sports. We've soft prepped them for it over the years.
That is true. They probably this is the part where they talk about sports.
Put those timestamps in there, Chris. Get the timestamps in.
Just go 5 minutes. Oh, they're still talking about sports? 2 minutes.
I hate the sports. No, we're talking about how high school is crappy for everybody. So maybe it's not as bad or as good as anybody remembers high school. It's just
middle school is probably worse.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Hey, tell us about your high school experiences. We want to know. And if you had any professional athletes in your high school, we definitely want to hear about that because that's fun to me. Chris, let's talk about the actual Avatar stuff.
So, let's see.
This is In Harm's Way, Book 3, Chapter 4, and here's our notes.
All right. So the episode starts off with a prison breakout. This episode is really all about prison breakouts. It starts off with a really great scene between it's the Red Lotus versus Zuko on a dragon, which is and Tonraq and Eska and Desna, which I just love seeing Zuko on a dragon. Like it's like seeing the dragon scale when it lands. And that was always some of the coolest things in Game of Thrones. Like when the dragon comes in and lands next to somebody, you're like, oh, that's a dragon right there. Just makes it a little bit more tangible. And you're gonna say something.
No, just anything with dragons. No, it's anytime Zuko rides in on a dragon, it's instant excitement.
Yeah. So they go and they're fighting Puli and Tonraq. I'm sorry, they're fighting. Really, so they're fighting Ghazan, Zahir, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. Why am I blanking on her name? The waterbender girl, Minghua is her name, and she's so freaking like creepy in the best way. Like she's scary. Her water arms are probably like some of the most useful, I think, bending. Like she uses them as like as Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, most people need their appendages to bend at all, and she is bending her appendages. It's kind of sick.
Like oftentimes they're tools, like Inspector Gadget's like, oh, I need a screwdriver, and then just screwdriver. Oh, I need a handsaw. Like, that's how she is with her arms. So she fights Eskandesna, and one thing I love seeing Eskandesna fight, like they're so uniform and in sync with one another, and they make all these like huge ice spikes, and she's just like swinging on them, and she knocks them, she freezes them over, and then she turns her arms into a drill, and she drills into the into the bottom there.
I hate that she knows exactly where it's located though. Like I hate that's another one of those just like it's a little bit OP thing. I hate that she knows where it is. I hate that the Earthbender can just drive this vehicle even though he's been in prison for like 16 years while technology has been developing at like unprecedented rate. And this guy can jump around. I know this is it's like a tank. It's like a construction vehicle, Chris.
Yeah, but they've been around since.
You telling me that you, even with your current knowledge of driving, could go jump in like a large, heavy-duty vehicle and just be like, I got this?
I would say if 15 years from now. I'm sorry, 15 years ago, I could jump into any. I could drive any car that's around today.
But not a heavy duty. Chris, if I bring you to my farm, these tractors have been around much longer than 15 years. If I put you in a tractor, you can't drive a tractor.
But who says it's a tractor? It looks like a regular car that's outfitted slightly different.
It's a heavy duty machine.
It looks like.
That's not a regular car.
Let me look. I have the episode.
That's not a regular car.
Right now.
There's literal tank treads on the damn thing. Like snowmobile, like 4 of them. No.
Probably is the same mechanics.
Even a 4-wheel drive, like even just regular 4-wheel drives in trucks, like 4-wheel drives and all-wheel drives are sometimes so finicky. Like you're only supposed to go a certain number of miles per hour within the high gear versus the low gear, and you got to make sure you're neutral when you switch it to 4-wheel drive. And sometimes they're just faulty in general. Like,
All right,
no,
let's see here.
this guy jumped out of prison out of 15 years, and he's driving a heavy duty like
It
construction equipment.
it looks like it's the same thing as a car, only that instead of wheels, it has like these track thingies on it.
Four tire treads. That's not a regular car. That's not like any other car there is in the Avatar universe that we have
I'm gonna give it
seen
a
so
pass.
far.
I was gonna say something.
I don't like those two. I just there's too many things here where they're too cool. They're too good at it too soon. It could have been more
It's too good at
realistic,
driving.
and it still would have been fine. They could
This
have
is
been
what
they could
this
have
is
been not
what the
perfect, and it
writers
still would have been
room.
fine.
I bet in the writers room someone was like this, and then Brian, no, Mike handles the writing, and Mike was like, we're not gonna waste story time on explaining how Ghazan knows how to drive. The audience can just go with it.
They could just. I'm not going with it. It just plays into them all just being too OP for a group of people that've been in prison for, the better part of 2 decades. I'm not buying it.
So well,
And how does
well,
she? How does the waterbender lady? How does Mengwa know right where Pali is at underground? Like,
I mean, you can chop that up to them having a person on the inside of the White Lotus.
so she knew the spot in the ground to just drill straight down
Sure, why
in
not?
the ice. No, I'm not. I'm not letting it go.
Um,
Chris, we're
no,
critics. This isn't braving the element. We're critics here, and I'm gonna point this crap out because it makes me mad. No, it doesn't make me mad. It's just a little too far, and it plays into a common theme I have with this season. I'm gonna say my one complaint with this season is that everything just a little too easy for the bad guys.
uh, no, I don't have a complaint.
Well,
I'm not
good,
rolling with you on that one.
no, good because I'm gonna keep complaining for 10 more episodes about it. So I'll balance this out.
So we're okay. So yeah, so they go in, they break in, and then she freezes the bars, and Brian in the commentary, Brian says like, so I got this idea from watching MacGyver. There was an episode where he like used a light bulb and some ice, and he froze a metal thing, and and this was that. He's like, MacGyver's great.
It's kind of sick. Yeah.
And she breaks out Pali, and then Pali gets out, and they have a little banter back and forth. I think just trying to humanize the characters a little bit.
Oh, sure. Now it's okay to humanize the characters. I see how it is.
What was there another?
No, you can humanize the characters now, but not when they're superhumans who know how to drive machinery they've never seen.
I mean, yeah, it's irrelevant, Sean. Oh. And wait,
It's not going to be irrelevant to my ratings.
I feel like I'm not updating here, or maybe am I moving?
No.
Can you see me?
Yeah, you look great on my side. It's
Okay, that's just weird. For some reason,
responsive.
I just see one picture, one freeze frame of myself.
Nope, you're good.
Anyway, all right, I'll keep talking then.
I just
So
muted
then-
you and you made me mad. That's all.
Yeah. So they put. Wait, am I? Oh, I can't. Dang, I can't see again. For some reason, I don't know why my screen is like this. Anyway, doesn't matter. They break out Pali, and she's freakishly tall. I like how the camera is. It has Minghua in the foreground. It has Pali in the background, but Pali is still way taller than her. That's a good way to show. Use a perspective to show size difference.
And it's exciting that she's very tall. I don't know why. It's just different. Something you wouldn't
It
expect.
is, yeah. So then they break out, which I love this fight. Once Pali gets out, she's like, "I waited 15 years to feel this warm," something to that sense. And then Drook, the dragon, fire bends at her, and she takes the fire blast like full on. And I love how she just like make it just disappear, and then she combustion bends at the dragon. Just really cool to see how strong she is that she can take on a freaking
Hmm?
dragon so easily.
I would.
Um,
I really like this fight. Other than it has a kind of abrupt end when the Red Lotus is just driving away. Like it feels like the Red Lotus got anything. They have everything under control, kind of, or
well,
they're getting there, and then they just drive away. It felt abrupt to me, but
I mean they
minor detail.
I mean they they succeeded. They succeeded at their mission. Their mission wasn't to like go kill somebody. It was just we just break out Pali. Like once we break out Pali, we can get going. So then they break out Pali, and she's her and Zahir kiss, and it's another nice little humanizing moment. Bryan did mention Bryan was like, I really like that we had a relationship where the male character was a lot shorter than the female character, and this other writer that was on the commentary was like, it looks weird, right? And Bryan was like, no, I don't think that's the whole point. Is that it's not weird. And they were just kind of going back and forth just with each other and in a playful manner, of course.
And then Ghazan is like, really? And that's kind of fun.
Um,
Ghazan has enough time to look away from his highly technical knowledge of driving large vehicles to say, really, right now?
I mean, it's just like he's on the steering wheel. It's not that, difficult. It's not like he's like, oh, I gotta crank this and bump, 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 bump. It's just, it's a very simple driving,
Not
which
buying
he's
it. I want to see what
doing.
cars looked like 16 years ago before this episode.
I mean, a lot of them started off as machinery. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of him right now. He's at a wheel, and it looks like it's just a plain car. I don't see any other
Well, the wheels
mechanisms
always
around
the
him.
wheels don't change. It's everything underneath. It's like
I think he just has a pedal.
I couldn't.
But
I grew up on a farm. I can barely drive a stick shift right now, and this guy got. I'm just not buying it. They don't have time to have mastered, especially with 16 years removed from their life. They don't have time to have mastered all of the things that they have mastered and
I
become
don't.
amazing at.
But who says he didn't know how to drive this beforehand?
Because he was busy being Red Lotus and martial artist master.
Yeah, but they have to
And
learn
that
all these
you have no proof that
things.
car is more than 16 years old. I maintain that it's not. I think 16 years of car development in this world, 16 years prior was probably the first motorized cars. Was probably 16 years ago.
No, Sato built his fortune not on. He didn't invent the car, but he's like Thomas Edison, not Thomas Edison, Henry Ford. He
Yeah.
just kind
Well,
of
no, the
revolutionized the
Edison was a
making of
good
it.
example too with the electricity and the
That
Tesla.
that is
Yeah.
true. Yeah. So I mean, he had that fortune built since at least before Asami was born. So Asami's right now is like 20 years old, and I'm sure he probably had that whole fortune built years before prior to that. And then the first
Didn't
person who built the
necessarily mean it was on
car,
cars.
yeah, that's how he built his fortune was
Hmm.
cars. The first car, I believe, was built around Avatar Aang's time. Oh, of course it will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he was fighting gangsters and they were in cars and yeah.
yeah. Um,
Right, I think we
yeah,
see them. I think we see him fighting.
yeah. So I mean, honestly, cars in our lifetime hasn't come that far in the
No, but
past
it's not a car to a car.
20 years.
It's a car 16 years ago to a construction vehicle now.
Yeah, but my point is he could have already knew how to drive a construction vehicle whatever years ago. I don't know. We're spending way too much time talking
Because
about
it's
this.
because you won't acknowledge my feelings, so I'm gonna keep harping on it.
That's okay. What else is there? Um, so that's
That's really the B plot there. They get away. That's the B
yes,
plot of this episode.
yeah, yeah. Zuko gets the crap beat out of him. Yeah, that's B plot. So where are we at now? Okay, so Kai's been kidnapped. He's doing training and stuff, and he clearly he's so much better than other people. Which before you get started, I don't know why Kai. One thing, Kai's not like a match, but he's better than other people. It's funny they mentioned like in the commentary, just like Kai sort of has like a nomadic feel to him, right? Because he's an orphan, he's been traveling from place to place, and that could be the reason why he's much better than them. Also, he's just a little bit more talented, like just being a thief in the night. He already has some natural, I don't know, acrobatic running abilities, escapism. But he's still not great. at it. He's not Zahir.
It's a relative thing.
Yeah. But he's easily better than everybody else. And he, tries to protect people, which does a good job of painting Kai as a good character. That he's trying to protect like the weaklings in the prison.
It helps.
So
It's the first time I ever have like any amount of positivity towards Kai. It's like, oh,
yeah,
there's a human in there.
it's funny. The two writers that was on commentary, one of them seems to want to write Kai in like very positive light, and the other one's like, nah, I didn't like Kai, and like, and that's just funny how they went back and forth.
That'd
The
be
one who
us
liked
as
Kai,
writers. Chris would be like, let's give him a nice arc. I'm like, let him die in the prison. I don't care.
yeah. I wonder how the writers' room were like on Jet early on.
It's got to be the same. Like, it's not that it's a one-to-one character thing. It's just a similar-ish parallel, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's see here. Yeah, so Lynn just jumps out of nowhere, and knocks on the door, and she's like, "Korra, we gotta get you out of here. Like the Red Lotus is coming to get you." And Tenzin's like, "What? How could that be? They broke out." And she's like, "So here's an airbender." He's like, "Oh my word!" And Korra's like, "I'm standing right here, guys. Like, what are you talking about?" And then they tell her the story and everything. So they mention in the commentary that that they thought about doing that they put out a concept and were kind of brainstorming whether to do the backstory, to have the backstory of when Korra was kidnapped. Like they kind of wrote it out and everything. I mean, they didn't completely write it out, but then they decided to take it out. Bryan was kind of just like, you know what? I just didn't want to do it. Like it just seemed better to just leave that in the imagination of the person, of the audience. I disagree with that because it's interesting because Caitlin was talking about how these characters are somewhat void or empty or I don't know, place setters. Some of them, and I agree with that to the most part. And I was thinking about like, all right, well, how would I rewrite that? How would I help that out? Like I would probably add an episode where it's just about the backstory. And it's funny that it's just ironic that they were going to do it and then they decided not to do it. So I think that would have helped out just to give add a little bit more background to them. Maybe they can have a scene where Ghazan learns to drive a
Ghazan's like a
industrial
construction worker, and he's just sitting
yeah.
on the crane in his mindless job, being like, "Man, I wish I could just cause some anarchy." And then he spends his breaks learning to lava bend down in the pits where they've been digging, and and then Sean would be like, "Okay,
yeah,
I get it."
yeah. But they didn't do that.
It could be like a Tales of Bossing, say, type of scenario where you could kind of hit them all and.
Oh, that would kind of be interesting if you start the episode off going one by one on their backstory and then kind of how they met and then up to the Act 3. So the Act 1 would be their backstory. The Act 2 would be I don't know, some type of Act 2 is always like some type of confrontation or something like that.
It would sort of be the conflicts that led to them crossing paths, and then Act 3 would
probably
be convergence.
Yeah, probably yeah. And then Act 3 would be them kidnapping Korra, trying to. Also, I would have had. So they mentioned that Zuko, Tanarak, and Sokka stopped their plans. That would have helped out seeing Sokka again. That'd just been cool to see Sokka again, and just to add more weight to it, I would have Sokka die in that confrontation. Like I imagine like Sokka being like, "Hey Zuko, one last ride. We gotta save Aang again.
He's my ride or die bee."
Yeah. Like, we gotta go save Aang again. It's like, we gotta get him out of trouble. And it's like, just like old times. So like, it'll be a nice little.
It's a buddy cop movie.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it'll be really. And then like Zahir would probably still be like, this is nothing personal. Like Zahir would have to be the one to kill Sokka, right? Because it's a non-bender versus a non-bender. And then he'll be like, you're honestly my hero. Like you're the one you're a non-bender, and yet you you stand toe to toe with some of these legends.
Yeah, maybe
Like,
maybe
I'm sorry
Sokka's
that I
gonna
have to be the
like whole adult life, like looking at this young guy, this up and comer, who's amazing at all these martial arts and things, and Sokka's like, the kid's gonna be good someday. And then
Hmm.
when he goes on his last ride with Zuko, it's that kid, and he's
Oh, yeah.
heartbroken. It's,
All right,
oh,
I don't know if all this can fit into an episode now,
well,
but
we just invented
oh,
a.
well, it could be a two-part episode like Beginnings was.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay.
Do we have the budget to stretch this thing out into 15, Chris? Can we get that from the network?
We'll have to take out probably
Probably
episode. We'll
these
have to
two.
crunch episode 3 and 4
We
into.
probably just get rid of these two that we're talking about right now, and not that they're
I
bad.
wouldn't get rid of
No,
them.
it's not that they're bad. They're just less impactful than the
I
other
would.
stuff.
I
These
don't
are
know.
like this. This almost didn't have to happen, other than like Earth Queen bad find other airbenders. Like these two aren't super necessary.
I think you need the Earth Queen in it because she comes up later.
Okay, so at
And
least that's true. You need so give one episode for this. You cut out one episode somewhere else, and voila, you've got our two-part
yeah,
tales of the Red Lotus.
you could probably cut some of the original Airbenders.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
original Masters a little bit. Put that into some type of other episode. So, or just beg the studio for one more episode. Although that doesn't work clearly.
I think our idea is a really good one. I think we can do a little begging, and we
Yeah.
can hit the chopping block. We can make it work.
But that'd be really cool just to see how this all happened and took place. And Korra would have been probably 3, and so she probably wouldn't. Although I think canonically she was like 4 when she found out when the White Lotus visited her. Like, I would remember at 4 if somebody kidnapped me.
I've got memories from 4. Yeah, that would be a pretty traumatizing one.
3, maybe she's 3.5. 3.5. I don't remember that much from 3.5. I have some memories, but I could see me forgetting something that big, or
My,
just because no one ever brought it up again, or maybe she was probably out of it for most. Like, they probably drugged her and stuff.
when I was 4, and it was probably late 3s, early 4s, like it's meaningless stuff that I can remember. So I'm sure if I was like kidnapped and traumatized, I'd remember that. But like basically, I remember waking up almost every day and asking mom if it was my birthday yet.
Hmm.
Sean's first memories.
Yeah, I don't remember. My first memory is rolling a ball in between me and my dad.
Oh, that's cute as heck.
I don't. I think I was like 3. That's it. Anyway, um,
She would remember if she wasn't like drugged up, or maybe they just gave her candy so to her she wasn't kidnapped. They're like, "Come here, little girl," and she's like, "All right."
oh, let's go with that one.
Yeah. I mean, whichever. It
They
sounds
treated
better
her.
than drugging a little girl.
That's true. Either way, she wouldn't have felt the danger, I think.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. Crap. Where the heck are we at on this episode? Okay, so they're like, all right. So Korra's like, fine, I'll go with Yulin, but we first got to save all the Airbenders. So Janora has to find Kai, and Janora does some special airbendy, spirity techniques, which I can buy, but I don't buy the explanation. I guess if that makes sense. Um, like she just says like, oh,
Why
this
that
is
you can do it, but not because of the weird connection she has or something like that.
well, no, I buy that part of it, the
Okay.
connection to somebody. So she mentions like she finds Kai, and like she can like actual project herself, and people can see her and everything. And she finds Kai, and she's like, oh, this is like spirit technique mixed with some advanced airbending techniques. And I will buy that it's a spirit technique, but not necessarily an airbender technique, because to me it's not. There's nothing airbending-y about it, but it's more spiritual. Which you kind of think this is the first time we've seen this technique done, but in a way, Aang did it in Winter Solstice Part 2, Part 1 or Part 2. Where he stupidly says, "I'm in the spirit world," but he's not. But his spirit is out of his body. The only thing is, no one can see him, but he can still project. He can still come out of his body and just kind of roam around. And so I think that was more of a spiritual move. So I think they went too far trying to explain it. They should just said, "Oh, she's very spiritual. She can do this," instead of being like, "Oh, it's an airbending technique." Which I guess airbending, I could see it because part of airbending is letting go of earthly attachments, and that could be it. But that's more of like a philosophical thing, not necessarily a physical bending aspect of bending. But anyway,
I'm on board. I get it. I'll buy it. I didn't have any tremendous issues with it other than just sort of, we're kind of continuing to push the envelope of what powers can be blended with others and such. I think this is a weird thing to bring up, and I probably regret bringing it up, but even though they call it like spirit bending sometimes, I don't like that phrase. Like, it's not really bending to me. It's more of a separate thing.
Yeah, and then there's, I guess there's like three different types of spirit bending. There's the spirit bending of bending a spirit that Korra can do, all right? Then there's energy bending. And then there's the spirit bending of what Janora's doing. But I guess that's spirit projection. I feel like there's another different type.
I kind of separate that because, Zahir could probably do some of that stuff before he was really a bender. It's not like he was a spirit bender. He just was very in touch with his spiritual self, inner self. Yep. I don't know. That's what I don't ever consider it bending when I think about it. Like, there's still just sort of four kind of in this spectrum, this 4-pointed spectrum, and those four corners. There's overlap or some blend or whatever, but those four corners are still just the four elements in my head.
I agree. So then they find Kai, and they go down there, and there's some just pretty good action scenes kind of all around, like the Kai and Makumbolin versus the Dai Li in a little hallway. Kai really shows some great airbending there, and he has a good moment for him of talking trash to the jailer Dai Li guy. He's like, "I am as good as I thought I am," or something to that effect. So then let's see. Northern Air Temple. What happened to the Northern Air Temple? Am I missing something?
That's just where they started heading at, like, the very end of the episode. That's the direction
okay.
Going. Right?
Yes.
I think that's where they headed.
Well, no, because they would have. Oh, I'm sorry. Tenzin, yes. So anyway, so they break everybody out of prison, which is kind of some cool action scenes going there. And then at the end of it, Korra and Tenzin split up. And I really like this moment. It's a pretty small moment, but I think it really shows Korra being the Avatar. Like, it's like she has like a mission on her head. So in the commentary, they're like, "Oh yeah, and Korra and Tenzin are splitting up again, just like the last season. But this time it's much better split up." Which they weren't saying that, thinking and to say that like their split up last season was like bad writing, because I don't think they would say that. I would say it was bad writing, but but they're just saying they left on better terms.
Yeah, that's fair. Now it kind of froze up with your finger on the screen. That was sort of funny.
Okay.
No, you're back though.
Okay. Let's see, I feel like that. Oh, it's a great moment at the end there where Tenzin talks to the Airbenders, and he invites them to join him to be part of the new Air Nation, and a lot of them say yes, and Tenzin wells up with tears in his eyes. Like, that's a great character moment there. Like, he's like, the dream is finally coming true.
Yeah, it's a very touching way to end the episode. It would have been funny if there was like one guy in back that was like, fine. No, that's very touching.
Yeah.
If the John Heater-esque person in the back there. Okay. Well, in that case, let's knock out some ratings.
All right. For some reason, my whole screen's been been stuck on one frame for the last 10 minutes. But as long as
Oh,
I'm good on yours.
yeah. I
Um,
mean,
so
as I say,
my
it kind of froze on your thumb for a while, but not for any length of time, so you're good as
yeah.
far as I can tell.
Now I'm still seeing stuff from the 20-minute mark.
Oh, crap.
um, anyway, wait, does audio visual go first?
Yep.
Audio visual, I gave an 8.5 on this one because the fight at the beginning was really good with Zuko and Tonraq and Eskandesna versus the Red Lotus. That was done really, really well. Love that. And there was some couple good fighting scenes when they broke out of prison as well. So that gets 8.5. Story, I gave an 8, I think. Did I give it an 8?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, the story wasn't. Uh, story was fine. It was decent. I don't think it was as strong character work as the previous episode, but still some good story. Really continuing to pile along. Memorable. I believe I gave this an 8.5. Am I right?
Yep.
For some reason I
8.5,
can't
8,
remember.
8.5. Yep.
Yeah. Um, there was the uh the fight again, that was pretty memorable, and a couple other things that for some reason I'm drawing a blank on, but yeah, anyway, that comes out to an 8.3. Does it?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I can do
That's good,
math,
man. Yeah.
or I
So,
can guess.
I was a little lower on the episode overall. I did audiovisual. I gave an 8.5 because it saw some unique settings, good fight, good fights, multiple ones, good little rescue sequence. So nothing incredible, but good stuff. Story, I just did a 7.5 because it wasn't super. They weren't all super duper gratifying, and a lot of dialogue in there that just, I don't know, not that drag. A 7.5. I don't have to justify it too crazy. Is it average? Memorable, same 7.5. Nothing stands out other than the two kind of fun fight scenes. The escape scene at the end, I do really enjoy that, but other than that, nothing really separates this one out too much for me, I guess, especially from the previous. So I did a 7.8, and that puts us together at an 8.0, which seems appropriate to me. Like, is still
I think
decent.
these two episodes are pretty 8ish. Like, there's nothing
Yeah.
really bad about them. There's a couple great things.
Hmm?
But yeah, so
And I
I
think
think
it's right that
eight's
this one, I think last one we ended 8.1 and this one's at 8 just feels right in terms of like, yeah, this one's slightly
yeah.
less interesting than the last one, I think. Ever so slightly. So, yeah, no qualms, no call outs. When we get our stories into the writing room, these are going to the chopping block. Not to get cut completely, just reduced into one. So we can make a better case to the execs for our Tales of Bossing Say.
Need to convince Bryan that we need a 2-part Red Lotus origin.
Tales of the Red Lotus.
Tales of the Red
I like the Tales
Lotus.
of because of the parallel to the Tales of Bossing Say, but I'm not gonna die on that hill. I'll go wherever.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as self-contained as each of those little vignettes were.
Yeah, no, these definitely gonna have more of it's like
They will be blended
season 6
together.
Community or season 5 or something when they kind of figure out how they all came to be there. Actually, it might have been earlier, might have been season 4 because Troy might have still been around for a little bit. How they all realize how they came to be at the university and they cross paths and everything. You get like little pieces of each one's.
Yeah, I really need to rewatch. I don't remember that episode.
I want to say that Troy was still there, so I want to say it's season 4, but I could be mistaken. Anyway, I would be something like that. Yeah, at least give us 40 minutes to work with. We'll make it happen.
Even though we're not
do you
writers
remember,
in the least.
do you remember the beginning of the first Fantastic Beasts movie, where it's just the little Jacob Kowalski fella like working his mundane 8 to 5 job at the factory or whatever, and that's gonna be Ghazan working on his construction equipment, like just shrugs when he hears the horn and eats a boring lunch, and then shrugs when he hears the horn and goes back to work. Then he get the sad walk home and he opens his house and it's just like a plain little like tiny apartment, and he sits on his bed and just wish I could put these driving skills to better use.
Don't Don't worry, we'll add a little thing about Ghazan driving.
It's gonna be in there,
Even
Chris.
though in the though maybe he only draws constructed stuff because the next time they're in the car, Police is driving.
Oh, so now they all just knew how to drive. No,
Wait a minute,
car I have no
is
problem
Police
with.
driving?
I
I
don't
feel like she
remember.
was driving because like I saw the water arms over the wheel, which was interesting. At least that's what I'm remembering.
So not Puli, the other one, Minghua.
I'm sorry, Minghua, you're
Yeah.
right.
That would be interesting because she would have to have like a solid manifestation of liquid arms to hold it and move it. Like there'd have to be a friction between her grippers and the wheel. That's high level bending you don't think about. That's detail right there. Although I'm not sure I'm gonna be convinced that you would have taught your armless daughter how to drive a car either. I don't know. But she defies odds, I guess. I'll let her have it. Hey, this has been Legend of Korra Book 3, Chapter 4, In Harm's Way, where we discuss vehicles and prequels that won't happen. You know what? Actually, I'm not anti prequel, but I tend to dislike prequels because you already, like, if it's connected, you already know who's going to die and not die in most cases or whatever. Like, you already know the big impact things, how they turn out, because it's a prequel. Like, you know where the story progresses from here if it's connected. And if it's not that connected, then it's not really a prequel so much as like an adjacent story.
I like prequels.
I'm
I don't
like,
think it really matters what type of like I like the Star Wars prequels just as much as I like any other trilogy of the Star Wars movies.
I like
Um,
Rogue One a lot. Rogue One might
yeah,
be my favorite prequel, actually, that I can think of. Not in Star Wars, like maybe ever. I love Rogue One, big fan.
nah, I can't even think about what my favorite prequel is. But
But most of the time, I don't like prequels because you kind of know what happens at the end already from the context of the next story. But ours is different. Ours is very character exploration. Like even though we know they don't get Korra at the end, right? So therein lies the problem with the prequels. It would be exciting to see them get together.
true,
Like
and
that's
people are going to be shocked to find out how Sokka dies.
that's the real story we're trying to tell here. This thing that you did. We know Sokka
Spoiler
dies, but we
alert.
didn't. We haven't. Man, why am I saying it here on a podcast? Ruining all these great ideas. It's because it's getting late and I'm tired. That's why. But
Yeah,
Chris, final thoughts on In Harm's Way.
I really like these two episodes, but I do think they're appropriate graded where we got them at.
Chris, final thoughts on the Russell Westbrook trade.
I don't, it'll be a while before I have final thoughts on that. I'm glad you said that the last. I purposely didn't bring that up before because I was like, we're gonna go off on a
Because
tangent.
I felt
Uh,
bad about like boring all the people with other sports crap. I was like, I'm not gonna do more. I'll wait till the end. If you don't like sports, you shut it off right now. I just want Chris's final thoughts on the Russell
yeah, we'll
Westbrook
say.
trade.
You know, Russell. So I think it's the best option we could get, right? Like no one, Blazers weren't gonna give us Damian Lillard for this trade package. Like the
Absolutely
Wizards are
not.
clearly, like that was the only other option that I think would have been good. Like we traded Kyle Kuzma, Montreal Harrell, and KCP. Kuzma has been, I used to love Kuzma. I feel like if he has a green light, he can average 20 a game. 18 a game. He can probably average 20 a game
He's
if he
literally
has
like
a
the
green light.
second best shooter on that entire team.
Which isn't
It's a
great.
low
He doesn't
bar.
shoot a high percent. He probably shoots 43% from the field. I think he shoots probably like
He's the
33
second
from
best three
three.
point shooter on the Lakers roster.
He probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and Harrell didn't even show up in the playoffs. Like he had a bunch of DNPs, and he's kind of just redundant with Anthony Davis and Drummond there. And they probably will re-sign Drummond. I
Probably
think that's
cheap too. I don't think he did anything that says that he's gonna go
yeah, which
cash
would
in
be
huge
good.
somewhere else.
Um, so I'm hoping they pick up somebody like JJ Redick or Robinson. I don't know how much money they cost, but that would be great. And yeah, the thing this will offer most for them would be that LeBron has another playmaker, whether he can make for himself or he can him and AD off pick and rolls would be good. But he can take over games. And that's more than I can say about uh, dang, what was their point guard last year? I can't
Schroeder.
think of Schroeder. Shooter can't take over a game. Like, and I'm glad we're
No.
not going to overpay Shooter because there was a rumor that they were going to offer Shooter 120 or something for 4 years,
Which
and I'm
is
just like,
not.
yeah, no. So it's
I
it's
think
fine.
they have to sign and trade Schroeder for a shooter. And I don't know what the
Yeah,
options are in that range. It would have to be somebody willing to take on a little money to get a better, maybe a better overall player to pick or something. But I think they have to
yeah.
trade shooter for a shooter because spacing. I mean, I love playmakers as much as the next guy, but spacing is still important. And Russ is going to be 33, and
Yeah,
AD's injury prone, and LeBron is
we
old.
got a tight 2-3 year window here to win another chip, and even if we don't win another championship, we won one.
Yeah,
LeBron got
yeah,
one.
that's fine.
I mean, I'm still like, it's a championship or bust. That's how it is as a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm glad you're relatively pleased. I agree that, like, realistically on the
uh,
market, I don't know who else is going to be there. I had this weird vision that, and I don't know how it worked or even where it came from, but I thought maybe like a Kyle Lowry would come
I was
somehow.
hoping to sign Kyle Lowry to like
So that
maybe
would
100 mil, 4 years.
Well, that would have had to
Uh,
been like they can't do that outright. That would have had to have been like a
I
sign
think
and trade
so.
with the Raptors.
I
Like
think
it
you're
would have had
right.
to been a Schroeder
Yeah,
and a pick for a Lowry or something like that.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about the salary structures. I just know that's like in the Lakers' position that's the way they're having to
So
finagle things.
this
But
is
they
probably
have
the
a trade
best.
exception.
Yeah, this is probably the best move they could have. The best deal they probably could have got. Because they've been shopping Kyle Kuzma. Although I wouldn't have minded Buddy Hield. They were very close. They were close on both
Yeah,
of these deals, like at the same time. Like
Hill
it
would
seemed
have
like it
been
was a
a
sure.
pretty solid fit as just a straight up shooter.
For his career, he shoots 40%. I think he shot 38 last
And
year.
he tends
And
to do better on a little lower usage rate. Like he himself has been slightly better in the pros as just a shot maker as opposed to a creator. So that would have been a nice fit.
but the thing is I feel like he's not that big of an upgrade over Shooter as a player, as good of a
Not as a
player.
player. No, you're
Like,
going to give some up on defense with him for sure. I
yeah,
think they're probably similar age, but you're going to give some up on defense, but you're going to get more on offense. And I would say, if you're in the Lakers position, that's a trade I'm making. Like I'm going to give up a little defense and trust the backside guys.
Hmm.
And then, so I would have been a fan of that trade from a Lakers perspective.
and it wasn't gonna be as big of a trade as this one is. They probably would have
Yeah,
kept their. Oh, to me, draft picks never mean anything as a Lakers fan. You either really suck the previous year, which means you're not going to be that great this year, or your pick is so low that the person's not going to be NBA ready anyway, and we're in a win now type of mode. Always, Lakers are always in a win now type of
you
mode.
don't have to
They
care about
really,
draft picks until you're bad. Is really all
yeah.
it amounts to. Then you have to care. I mean, it's the best way to get a cheap superstar, but you don't have to care if you're not bad and they're not bad. So don't have to worry about it right now.
The Lakers have drafted fairly well when they do get high picks, but
Yeah,
they don't get high picks that often.
once in a
Well,
blue
yeah,
moon.
like I said, when they're good. Yeah.
Once in a blue moon.
I
Uh,
was hoping some. I'm always kind of hoping for D'Angelo Russell to come back. I've always liked him. I think he would have fit. I was really hoping they would pick him up right after they got Anthony Davis,
yeah,
because to me, you could build off of those two, and because I mean he can play pick and roll well. He can shoot the three. He can create for himself. Um, but I forgot they didn't really do anything after they got Anthony Davis. They just kind of just added some scraps. Like they were trying to get Kawhi Leonard, which I'm glad. The Clippers probably won't have Kawhi all year. I'm not glad he's injured, but I just never want the Clippers to win.
that's fair. No, I think they were kind of chips all in on Kawhi, and when that fell through, limited
Yeah,
options to scrape things up at that point.
and, and Clippers wasn't even in the conversation at that point, which is why I hate them even. Which is why I don't like Kawhi, because he wasn't shaded at all. Like I respect what he did, but as a Lakers fan, I'm just like, you held the Lakers on, like you led them on. You
I
continue.
disagree with that notion in particular. I don't think Kawhi tells anybody shit ever. Right. So you could just ask him straight to his face and he's not going to tell you. It's not as though like, yeah, I'm interested in all these parties. Like, there's no politics involved. He's just not going to tell you anything. So I refuse to believe that Kawhi led them on. Is more just of like Kawhi being Kawhi, and I
Yeah.
don't necessarily care for that as a person, but it's consistent with his character. So I never felt that bad about that part. But
Right.
I'm not an NBA insider. I'm sure other people know more than that. Maybe he told the Lakers, like, yeah, hang on, and then he's like got the Clippers on the other line. He's like, they think I'm going there.
All the analysts were like, it's a done deal, and they were all wrong.
I think, like I said, I think Kawhi just
But you
didn't
know
tell
what?
him
Hey,
anything.
one thing I don't really care about LeBron's legacy, but it helped his legacy. He won without a third superstar. He won with Anthony Davis. So nowadays, you need like three bona fide all stars to
Feels like it.
win, given if everyone's healthy.
Feels
But
like it. But yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm glad you seem satisfied with it. He was probably the
yeah.
best viable option. Other than, it's like I felt like Lowry would have been a better like sort of option overall, but nobody ever talked about it. Like it was never cooking or never of interest to both sides or what. I don't know.
Yeah. I know
Schroeder would have been
DeMar.
redundant on the Raptors
Yeah, I
roster.
wouldn't have.
So
Yeah. There was talks about picking up DeMar DeRozan. Probably got him on the cheap. Maybe still could get him. No,
but
that would be too
DeRozan, to
much.
me, DeRozan isn't.
It would. He would be
He's
worse than Westbrook, but he would
Yeah,
have
he's
came
still.
cheaper.
It's got the same limitations and less top
Yeah,
end skill.
but yeah, he has. He's a much worse player than Westbrook. Not as athletic. Shoots primarily
Like,
15 feet away, but
yeah.
no, he's not great at driving the ball.
I mean,
And
that's
you know
his.
his
That's what
rebounds and
I would
assists.
say is his. He's very similar. It's just the watered down, taller version of Westbrook.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a similar game style, just not as
I just
impactful or as
thought
athletic.
personality wise, he would know that like, all right, I'm just here to win a championship.
He's
Like
like
I don't
well
care about
aware
my
that he's third
numbers.
fiddle, and he can still take some pressure off. But
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh well. I'm glad
yeah.
you're happy with it, and I like Russ enough to want to see Russ
I've
be on winning
always
teams. So
like 5 years ago, I was like, man, it would be really nice to pick up Russell Westbrook.
that was a few teams ago. A
Yeah,
few teams ago. But all right. Well, thanks for offering your final thoughts. If you didn't heed my warning and you're still here and you hate sports, I gotta be honest. I tried to warn you. I tried. But hey, thanks for sticking around. If you did, I think that's enough for one night. Let's call it. My name's Sean Shaler.
no,
That's Chris Ford, aka the
I'm Chris
Objective Geek.
Ford.
Oh yeah, you can do your part. Go ahead, do your spiel.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I'm
You already
Chris.
did it. That's fine. I think the issue is that you can't like calling yourself a nickname doesn't sound as good in my opinion. Like if you say I'm the Objective Geek, that doesn't sound as good as me calling you the Objective Geek, does it?
That's true.
Like self
Yeah.
nickname. Yeah.
In my Korra versus Aang video, which always gets daily comments on and people complaining at me and stuff, which I like conversation stuff. But like in that, I say,
It's good banter.
and I'm trying to be objective because, well, I am the objective geek. and then some people hate it like, you're not objective at all. You're clearly in this stuff. And I'm like, I mean, if you look at this and this, like sometimes someone's like, Aang is easily better at waterbending than Korra. You're not objective. I'm like, listen, if you look at what they did, Korra would like waterbend, a 20-foot funnel going 30 miles an hour while bending at other people. Ice bend that freaking mech suit 20 stories high. And then like the best thing waterbending Aang has done is like split a pillar in half, a wood pillar in half with water. And like, yeah, that's good, but like Korra has clearly shown like I can only go off what I see. But
It is
um,
always amusing to like I almost literally don't believe in objectivity at all. In my opinion, everything can either be broken down to mathematics, whether it's numerical or geometrical, or it's just an opinion, and it can always be one or the other. But it's funny to me when people like taking that to the serious extent on YouTube to be like, "You're not being objective." It's like, all right, calm down. It's a YouTube video about a cartoon,
uh,
nonetheless, about a thing that makes people happy. So y'all could just chill a little bit.
yeah,
But
not that's too close.
people are passionate. People are passionate. Um,
Yeah.
well, hey, thanks for stopping by, everybody. My name's Sean Shaler, as I said earlier. That's the Objective Geek, as we both said earlier. I'll leave lots of contact stuff for us down in the comments or in the description. We'd love to talk to you about anything related to Avatar on any of our platforms. In the meantime, we will come back in a couple weeks with Chapter 5, which I think is where the season turns and starts to get really, really exciting and nostalgic and stuff all at the same time. Not that it started out bad, but I think we're turning a good corner very shortly. So, very excited. Chris, thanks for talking with me as always. I'll see you next time. Later, everybody.
Goodbye.